All right, let me explain something to the world and the one Irish girl. Yes, I understand how you love this very plain, ordinary American accent. Well, you yourself like to roll everything and you sound very, very local to yourself. However, I was born in New Jersey, a little place near New York, and America is covered in many, many regional dialects. Anything from they're so muddled you can't understand anything they're saying, it just sounds like constant mumbling, all the way to this very articulate. One of the best examples, because it's not British, if you ever watch Dharma and Greg, the mother on there, no, Kitty, she's very, very proper. She's not British, but she over-enunciates everything like a posh lady. But she's still technically American. In New Jersey, at least starting all the way back with John Travolta's mother. Now, the actor John Travolta. There was a thing that started to come around where in America, you didn't want to look like the poor people. You didn't want to sound like the poor people. So instead of talking like we was from Jersey, we were taught to not talk like this, just like John Travolta, his mother, very thick accent. You can watch James Lipton interviewing him in the actor studio. It's old because James Lipton has since died. He interviews Travolta and he talks about his mother and making sure we were taught to talk. We were not allowed to sound like white trash. We were not allowed to sound like we were from the ghetto. We were not allowed to sound like we were from Flatbush. We weren't allowed to sound like we were from anywhere. Even in the South, I've noticed a lot of the public school kids don't have that little bit of Southern twang to them. I mean, unless you're either making fun of something or emphasizing something, or you're so far up the creek or so far away from civilization that you start to talk with like a Southerner. Otherwise, you got all these public schools taking this type of thing out of their mouth, literally. So what the world sees as the generic American plain AI almost style of accent. No, it's the removal of accent because it doesn't really have any at all. But to get back to John Travolta, we all know he became famous and whatnot. But the role that made him the most, like the first breakout role for him, it was playing Danny Zuko on Grease. So clearly, accents have a purpose, a place. They bring personality. They do all these things. And to remove it makes us more like computers, more like AI. And it just gets rid of what's special about the world. So if you have an accent, and if it tells, like tattletales on you to the rest of the world of where you're from, so who cares? Like, even though I am not Italian by any means, I grew up with a lot of Italians in New Jersey, so I still talk a lot with my hands. And it's really hard not to. Plus, there's other habits I picked up from other people that I was influenced by, because culture influences culture, and oiga volt, it happens. It's only the globalists that seem to want to get rid of that. So talk the way you talk. Be whoever you are, whether it's from New York or Yazoo, Mississippi. It don't matter if you're Northern or Southern, or Scottish, whichever. You are what you are, and if you can fake an accent, great. Just make sure it's authentic, because if you find a person who's actually from that place and they know what you're trying to do and you're totally botching it, they'll tell you. And sometimes I botch it a little bit when you switch from accent to accent to accent to accent. I'm not bipolar like Seth MacFarlane, who can do all the different voices like perfectly every time. So with that being said, keep talking.